to all the participants, respected teacher, uh, for the last session of Noise Series 2.0. Today we have among us one subject expert, Dr. Manoj Madavi, Sir, Assistant Professor from Anna Sahib Bundewar College, Nagpur, on the topic of representations of Adivasis in mainstream and regional Indian literature. I welcome you, Dr. Manoj sir, to behalf of Postgraduate Teaching Department uh, for the sessions on some different topics and different subjects for our students. And now I hand over this session to our felicitator teams, Priyanka.
Good afternoon to all respected sir and ma'am and my dear friends. Gondwana University Gadchiroli has organized online lecture series by postgraduate teaching Department of English. Today, 21st May, and our guest speaker, sir, respected Dr. Manoj Madavi, sir, working as the assistant professor at Anna College, Nagpur. Sir has completed PhD, net in English, and published research article in reputed journal. Sir has published book and particular in 130 webinars during an COVID pandemic. Sir has 9 years teaching experience and PG and specialization in subordinate studies and post-colonial literature. I welcome you, sir. We are PGDT and hand over the session to Dr. Manoj Madavi.
Okay, thank you very much all. This is really an honor for me that Gondwana University virtually has invited me in this guest lecture series. This is quite new for me because since I was not aware about that.
Sir, turn on your mic.
Okay, now.
It's okay.
Yeah, so this is the 10th and the last session of this guest lecture series. And once again, I would like to thank postgraduate teaching department of Gondwana University. I would like to thank to uh, Dr. Vivek Joshi sir, Vaibhav Masram sir, Dr. Shilpa Atwale ma'am, and Dr. Pramod Javare sir for inviting me in this series. So I was given this topic, representation of Adivasi in mainstream and regional Indian literature. So why we have chose this topic? Yeah, that is very important. Why we are speaking about the representation of Adivasi? Because we find that tribal are the ancient inhabitants of this land, since they were not given the representation in the mainstream social, political, economic, and the cultural life of the nation. This is what I feel. And when we go through the regional literature, so you might know the name of respected Marathi poet Vaharu Sonwani, sir. Okay, so his stage poem, his name of his poem is Stage, and that poem is very popular in India in all languages. So when I translated this poem regarding my research, so you and now I'm going to read it, okay, and you will learn what is the pain of being tribal, okay, what is the how they are suffering, okay. So writer has pointed out all these things in this few lines. He says that we never went on stage, nor were we called. A gesturing finger showed us our proper places. There we sat and received praise, and they stood on stage telling us about our own pain. Our pain remains ours, it never becomes theirs. Our doubts we whispered, they listened, hummed, and held tears and warn us, apologize or else. So, dear students, this happens in our literature that the marginalization and we find the subaltern issues in our literature, and tribals somewhere seems the victim of this socio political atmosphere, that they are not given representation in the mainstream literature, and this that's why Adivasis in mainstream and Adivasis in regional Indian literature. Okay, so this is the topic. So you must know this thing that tribal word represents the fifth world of indigeneity. Okay, indigeneity, indigenous community. Okay, they are the ancient inhabitants of this land. So when we speak about the world literary platform, okay, so first world of literature represents the European literature. Okay, we called it as a English literature. Okay, then the second world of literature represents the American literature. Okay. Third world is to be considered as the post-colonial literature. Okay, third world literature. This literature focus on the nation and nationalities of the countries, okay, which got freedom from the colonialism, right? Then the fourth world shows the world of marginalized subaltern communities, minorities communities, okay, and then lastly, fifth world represents the world of indigenous communities. Okay, their sufferings, pain, agony, displacement, dislocation, acculturation, poverty, negligence. Okay, and what is happening? We are not paying attention towards the issues of this fifth world of indigenous literature, and that's why Professor Vaibhav Masram sir told me that sir, shall we talk in this topic? So I given him this topic, and look, when India got freedom in 1947, and the English writing came in the flow. Okay, before that, Raja Ram Mohan Rai, Bahir Naik, and many writer was writing in English. But after independence, you will find that lot of English writer came on literary panorama. Okay, Mulk Raj Anand, Khushwant Singh, Raja Ram, after that Alan Seeley, Chaman Nahar, then Anita Desai, Nayanthara Sehgal. So all these writer decolonized the literature. Okay, they were writing from their own point of view. They were looking the socio-political, cultural, and the economical aspect of India after independence. Okay, and most of the themes they were writing about the Indian freedom struggle, poverty, okay, socio-cultural milieu, okay. But what I was feeling or what I was pointing out that when we speak about the subaltern, when we speak about the marginal, okay, so we do not find that tribal representation in that literature. Okay, I can give you some of the examples that in 1963, Manohar Malgakar, one of the reputed Indian English fiction writer, wrote the novel The Princess. Okay, he has written that novel in 1963. Okay, and he has represented the Bhil community of Begwad, okay, in Gujarat and Rajasthan circle before pre-independence India. Yeah. So whatever the representation of the Bhil community is shown in that novel, okay, so this seems very marginal, okay, beyond the marginality. Okay, this we can look at them like that. Okay, and so that's what. Okay, there is not very much about the Bhil community, how they were disposed, how they were dislocated from their own territory. So there are not so much arguments about that. Okay, so much focus was given on the state power, politics, okay, and the state provinces. Yeah. So in this way, tribals were neglected in that novel. Then in 1969, Kamla Markandeya has written the novel The Coffer Dam. The Coffer Dam. Okay, that novel again represents the dislocation and the disposition of the indigenous community somewhere in the South India. Okay, but most of the focus is given on the east and the west cultural encounter. Okay, but the issues of subalternity, okay, issues of tribal, okay, the dislocation, okay, is not there in that novel. Okay, there is not so much arguments about the sufferings and the agony of the tribal community. Then in 1971, Arun Joshi has written the novel The Strange Case of Billy Vishwas. Okay, The Strange Case of Billy Vishwas, one of the Delhi University based professor of anthropology. Okay, goes with the college to in Madhya Bharat. Okay, and he lost there. He lost there. Okay, and he tried to live with the tribal community. He accepted the tribal norms, customs, traditions, okay, and he became one of them. Okay. So whatever his observation as a non-tribal in the tribal community also looks like he's looking like a savior, okay, for the tribal community. And what writer has delineated about the tribals are the drum beater, okay, they are the drinker, okay, teetotaler, yeah. So and they don't have any sense of culture, of good living, but it was not like that. Okay, we are speaking about 1971, which was a peak period of tribal movement, tribal where demanding for their constitutional rights. Okay, so these things are not taken in consideration while writing about the tribals. Okay, and then this representation of tribal seems stereotype in all the novels. Okay, again, when we move forward, in 1988, Upamanyu Chatterjee has written the novel The English August, okay, where an IAS officer uh, goes to tribal territory, and he finds that after such a huge span of Indian independence, okay, tribal are still marginalized. They are not getting even simple facilities of drinking water and the shelter. Okay, but whatever he has represented, okay, that is very less. Okay, what is there in the actual ground. Then moving to Gita Mehta's the River Sutra, okay, which was written in 1992. So in that novel also, the tribal peoples who were living at the bank of the Narmada River and how they are superstitious, okay, that is shown. So that is also somewhere looks unreal. Yeah, we are speaking about the tribal community. Okay, we are not even acquainted about their great history. Yeah, tribal were the first community who revolted against the British colonialism. They gave the challenge to the mighty empire of British people. Yeah, we have the legends like Birsa Munda, Tilka Maji, Gundadur Dhurwa, Bhimu Kumra, lot of warriors, okay, who challenged the British imperialism at that time. You might have the movie that Triple R, Mr. Rajamouli's movie. Okay, so he had delineated the character of uh, Bhimu Kumral, okay, who fight against the British colonialism. So there are a lot of characters. Even when Karl Marx wrote notes on Indian history, so he considered uh, Santhal, which was revolted by the Santhal community, okay, which is tribal community, yeah, Orissa, Bihar. Uh, so, so Santalhul was the biggest freedom fight, okay, in the Indian history against the British colonialism. Okay, so we must keep in mind that when we write about or speak about the tribal community, we must know their history, okay, their history of sacrifice, their history of martyrdom. So these things are not taken in consideration while writing the tribal life, their issues, their problem in the mainstream Indian English novel writing. Yeah. And in 2008, The Inheritance of the Lost was written by Kiran Desai. So she has also delineated small glimpses of the tribal life. Okay, some of the tribal students from the Zanzibar came to American bakery, and they are totally neglected by the mainstream authority. Okay, they are just waiting outside the bakery, but nobody is paying attention towards them. So look, this is the important point. Okay, after Indian independence of 75 years, okay, we are not even capable to understand the tribal issues of writing about the tribal community. Yeah. So that's why this is the mainstream representation of the tribal people. When we move to regional literature, okay, so you will find great writing about the tribal issues, their dislocation, disposition, poverty, acculturation, exploitation of every type, bonded labor. A lot of issues are discussed in the regional literature. Okay, in the writing of uh, Gopinath Mohanty. Gopinath Mohanty has written the novel Parja. Yeah, Parja. So he has shown how the landlord uh, becomes okay. Landlord treats with the tribal people. Yeah, about how he grabbed their land and their livelihood. Then the Bengali novelist, I'm forgetting the name. She's a legend. Vaibhav Masram sir has done PhD. Yeah. So a lot of
Yeah,
issues.
Mahashuddha Devi.
Mahashuta Devi. Yeah, Mahashuta Devi. She's a legend. Okay, when we speak about the regional tribal literature. Okay, the mother of 1084. Okay, the short story, the Draupadi. Okay, Choti Munda and his arrow. Okay, lot of novels are there. They are very late translated in English. Okay, so those novels speaks about the tribal reality even after the independence. How the bureaucracy look at them, how the local political system look at them, how the socio-economical system look at them. Yeah. So these are the important issues, and these issues should be discussed through the creative writing. Okay, and that's why the new readers, new listeners, creative writers looks toward the tribal issues. Yeah, you cannot neglect the word displacement. You cannot neglect the word acculturation. You cannot neglect the word poverty, political victimism. This should be the novels of creative writing. Yeah. Gopinath Mohanty, Mahashuta Devi, and in Hindi, Rakesh Kumar Singh. He has written tremendous novels about the tribal issues. Okay, and most important thing is that these novels were written after the globalization. After the globalization, when Indian government accepted the mixed economic policy in 1992, and most of the MOUs were signed, and a lot of multinational companies went to the tribal areas, and then what happened there? Okay, this is the matter of research. Yeah, some of the students were asking me about the scope of the tribal research. Yeah, about the tribal research. So this is the scope. This is the scope. Yeah, we are speaking about the fifth world of indigenous literature and what is the real situation of tribal in India, and in particularly the tribal territory. So a lot of regional novels are there through which new aspirants can take inspiration and try to write like that. Yeah. So some of the names are there. Adivasi and their forest. Mr. Gladstone Dung, a social activist, has written about the tribal forest policies. Okay, what happened in the forest. So I think this book should be read by the young aspirants. Then endless cry in red corridor. Okay, so what is happening in the major tribal territories in India? Okay, so those who really want to do a real research about the tribal Adivasis, okay, their social about their social political rights. So such books should be read. Then Vinod Kumar, one of the reputed journalists and the novelist, who has given his significant contribution to depict the tribal life and their suffering in the post-colonial right. He has written some of the novels like Samar Shesh Hai. Samar Shesh Hai. Then Mission Jharkhand, Kaling Sangharsh. So these are the regional literature, okay, which are yet to be translated in English. But the new aspirants, creative writers can take a very good inspiration from these novels. Then Gagan Ghata Gehrani is also written in Hindi. The Indigiocracy is itself is written in English. Okay, so this such type of books will definitely help us to enhance our knowledge about the tribal world in India. विस्थापन एवं जन आंदोलन. विस्थापन एवं जन आंदोलन. I told you that you cannot complete your study, okay, without studying the word displacement. Yeah. Displacement is one of the important issue when we speak about the tribal life. Vistapan evam Jan Andolan. Okay, Jan Andolan means the mass movement of the people. When the people or the community is forced, okay, to displace, so they make their movement. Okay, they resist. Okay, and tribal community has a long tradition of revolts, right, from the colonial period to post globalization. So when again, if the researchers want to do real research on tribal, so they should study the mass movements of the tribal community. Tribal community. You must know the Birsa Munda and his Ulgulan. You must know Gundadur Dhurwa and his Bhumkal. Yeah, you must know Bhimu Kumral. Yeah, so these are the legend people who started the movement, okay, struggle for their right, for their rights. Yeah. So this is the great scope of research about the tribal issues. Then Mahadev Topo has written this book, Lessons, Forest and Fountain. Lessons, Forest and Fountain. This is the translated book. Okay, but the student must go through it. Then जंगल के फूल, उलगुलान का सौदा, जनमुद्दे ए आह्वान, पत्थर गड़ी, महाअरण्य में गिद्ध, फूल पहाड़िया. Okay, Rakesh Kumar Singh has written some of the tremendous books about the tribal life. जो इतिहास में नहीं है, जो इतिहास में नहीं है, या जहां खिलते हैं रक्त पलाश, पठार पर कोहरा, महुआ, मांदल और अंधेरा, कहानी खत्म नहीं होती, कहानी खत्म नहीं होती. Okay, so such a tremendous literature is available in a regional writing. Yeah, and those who want to do real research on tribal community, their socio-political, economical, cultural, okay, and their place in the mainstream society. So firstly, they should go to regional literature. Then you will get the idea that which are the explored areas in tribal research. Yeah. So this is the main difference between the representation of tribal in the mainstream literature, yeah, literature which is written in English, okay, and the representation of tribal in the regional literature, yeah, in the Hindi literature, in the Bengali literature, in the South Indian languages, in the Marathi literature itself. Yeah, so some of the books are translated. Just Godavari Parudekar had written the book माणूस जेव्हा जागा होतो. Yeah, so that is translated in when the man awakens. When the man awakens, okay, and that shows the very pathetic story of the Warli tribal people somewhere in the Thane and nearby areas. So we must know their reality. We must know their reality. Ariyar tribes in the Kerala. Ariyar tribes is there in Kerala. Mr. Narayan, who is a regional writer, okay, he wrote a novel, Kochai Rethi. Kochai Rethi. Okay, this title itself indicates the displacement of tribal from their land, from their farm. Yeah. So we have to study such type of novel. Yeah. Sanjay Bahadur is the writer who wrote the book Hul, the Cry Rebel. Hul, the Cry Rebel. A very popular novel is this. Okay, but you know there are I didn't find any criticism on that book. So Santal Hul is the biggest fight on Indian soil against the British colonialism, against the British colonialism. Yeah, and we even don't know about it. Yeah, Gundardu Dhurwa's Bhumkal Andolan, Bhumkal movement, okay, is very popular, okay, in the anthropological writing, but that could not be a part of the creative writing in English. So we have to understand these things. We have large scope. We have large scope about the socio-political, economical, cultural, about the tribal people, Adivasis people of this nation. Then those people who are interested in the creative writing. So why movies or any novel? A lot of scope is there when we study the tribal literature, Adivasi writing. So I think lot of issues are there, and we have a time limit. So what I find out in my research that we do not find the authentic representation of tribal life and their struggle in Indian English fiction. Indian English fiction. Okay, though the novels are full of aestheticism, okay, they have tried every possible way to represent the real situation of India at that time. Okay, but when we think about the tribal representation in their novel, when we think about tribal characterization in their novel, so we don't find that authenticity in their novel. And when we move to the regional writing, you will get very detailed analysis, representation of the social, political exploitation of the tribal people in their own land. Yeah, we have fifth schedule, sixth schedule in their areas where the tribals are the honor, okay, but still they are labored in their own areas. So we have to give a real voice to their displacement. We have to give an honest voice to their culturalization. We have to lift their issues, okay, and we give the voice to the unspeakable. This is what I feel. So, if the students want to ask me their queries or if they have any question in their mind, so they can ask me right now. It will be better if there will be a two-way communication, so I can answer them. So please, Vaibhav sir, if the students are interested, let them ask the questions.
Sir,
Yes.
there is a one question.
Yeah.
What is a marginalization?
Marginalization means people who are away from the mainstream facilities, away from the mainstream facilities. Okay, they are denied the opportunities of the social, political, economical, cultural, and educational equality. Okay, they are backward. They are looked to be as a downtrodden. Okay, people or the mainstream literature, mainstream media are not willing to give their voice for their upliftment. So we consider them as a marginalized. Okay, they are away from the margin. Like, so if there any language barrier, so student can ask me question in Hindi or Marathi also.
Any other questions, students?
Samjay?
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Hello, good afternoon.
There is a lack of education for tribal community. Then, how can education and discipline the tribal community, sir?
Dear students, I cannot hear you properly. Please, if you can chat in the chat box, so I can give you answer.
Manish, you have some voice issue. So you write your question in a chat box or share with me. I asked to Dr. Madavi. Uh, Thank you, Dr. Manoj sir, for the valuable guidance of tribal literature and the representations of Adivasis in English. Sir, explain about some key aspect of the tribal studies, tribal literature, and give a detailed pictures of the some history of in tribal literature and some tribal writing. Sir session is very informative for our students. The future research perspective or some the perspective is about the tribal studies. Uh, Thank you, Manoj sir, for explain the several key aspects of tribal literature and student who understand about treat towards to the, or the look towards to the tribal literature, and they understand about the several writers. This you mentioned in your session is about some poems of Maharaj Kumar. You gave several references of describes novels from of the Gondwana University cultures. So Gondwana University is the one paper is a tribal writing. And that time there's several novelists we covered by to the in your session. Thank you, Manoj sir, for the wonderful session. And thank you in the behalf of the,
Yeah, thank you very much, entire team of
and
Gondwana University and the postgraduate teaching department of English for calling me here and giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts before you all. So thank you very much, all. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
now we are going to us to the question and answer section. There's some three or the four questions in the chat box. They ask about first question is from to the Sapna Mishra. Does these representations of tribal literature change anything? So just click on chat box.
Yeah,
First
yeah.
question is from does these representations of tribal in literature change anything?
Yeah, what is the significance and role of tribal in literature? What is the significance and role of tribal in literature? That's why I'm telling you that tribal are to be considered as the indigenous people of this nation. Okay, they have a long history of their survival and the existence. When we speaks about the colonialism, and we speaks about the colonial India. Okay, when the British came on this land, so they encountered first time with the tribal people, and that's why this is very important that we have to study the tribal history, and then we will get a way to go into creative writing about the tribal peoples. And when we speak about the tribal people, when we speak about the indigenous people, so we become the cosmopolitan. Okay, you speaks about the indigenous community of Africa, you speaks about the Aboriginal people of Australia, you speaks about the Maori people of New Zealand, you speaks about the Aboriginal people across the globe. Okay, because everywhere, including India, displacement and acculturation of the indigenous communities or the Adivasis are equal and the same. Okay, and when we speak about the tribal people, we also gives voice to the unspeakable people in the different continents. So there is a large scope and significance of the tribal writing, and there is if you write like that and if you make research like that, so you will get a lot of opportunities to work on international platform also. A lot of NGOs are there who promote for such type of literature and the literature and the documentation and the research policies like that. Okay, you might know the name of the WSF World Social Forum is there, Ford Alumni is there, Amnesty Survival is there. So a lot of NGOs are there, okay, who are promoting the tribal culture and the fifth world of the indigenous literature. So if we are well versed or if we are, creative in ourselves, so we can work with them also. Okay, we can give a very good voice to the tribal issues on international platform. So definitely there is a lot of scope in the tribal literature and the writing. What is marginalization? Priyanka Nagose asked me. Okay, I explained it in a very brief manner. Then Manisha Hilko is also asking that if tribal are considered as backward class and lack of education in that society, then how can education? Sir, does this representation of the tribal in literature change anything? Then Sapna Meshram, she has also asked a question, sir, does this representation of tribal in literature change anything? Yeah, obviously. Obviously, literature is a weapon to change the world. Yeah, whatever, whatever we write, okay, there should be, a content of revolt in our writing, okay, that should play a pivotal role to bring some change, positive change in the society and the psychology of the Orthodox peoples. Yeah, tribal are the most exploited community in our country. Okay, they are disposed from their land, they are disposed from their constitutional rights, and nobody is ready to speak about them. Okay, everybody try to take the benefit in their name. Yeah, so a real writer or real researcher can be a real hero for them. Okay, but we cannot look to ourselves if we speak about the tribal, if we do research about the tribal, so we are the savior for them. Okay, this attitude should be not there. Okay, so we are speaking about the indigenous people and the most exploited community in this country and the world. So we have to know their issues very seriously, and we have to start to write and start to speak about them. So definitely there will be a change. There will be a change. The tribal people or the tribal society during after independence means in the period of 1950. Okay, and now the tribal community in 2020. Okay, there is much difference in the psychology of the people, young generation of the people. Okay, so newer writers and the poets are coming with the newer themes. Okay, they are delineating the tribal character, the issues of social, political, cultural, and the all the issues they are discussing through their creative writing. So obviously there is very much scope is there, and change would come very gradually, because this is the process of the social upgradation. Yeah. Is there any question again? Please.
I think you replied some all questions of the participants. Uh, uh, Lastly, I also thanks to Dr. Manoj sir for your valuable times to share with the students of PGTD English. I think one question is by Sanjana Elekar. Is there Adivasi Study Center in Nagpur University?
Is there any Adivasi center in Nagpur? This is the question.
Yes.
So you might know, there is Ramtek and Devlapar. Ramtek and Devlapar cities are there. Okay, so recently Nagpur University has opened a tribal training and research center there. Yeah, so I think that is in ongoing process. I'm not sure, but in advanced period. Okay, so Nagpur also will be a very good hub for the tribal study and the tribal research and the tribal creative writing itself. So. you can take the details from that place. Then in Pune there is a TRTI, Travel Training and Research Institute. Okay, we will get a very good data from Indira Gandhi National Tribal University in Amarkantak, Madhya Pradesh. So a lot of universities are there nowadays who provides very good data and literature and the records about the tribal issues, their history and the creative writing itself. In Jharkhand and the national book fairs, you will get a lot of books which try to enhance or help to enhance our knowledge about the tribal issues recently. We must know all these things. What is the tribal movement? Then what is the role of the Pathargadi? And tribal customs and the traditions. Okay, so these are the heritage of our society. This is the heritage of the tribal society. And the non-tribal writers, though they don't belong to the tribal community, but there is a lot of scope when they write about the tribal community. So they must know these things. Without knowing the tribal custom, without knowing the tribal languages, their history of the sacrifice and the martyrdom, we cannot give justice to the tribal writing. And this is what happening in mainstream English writing. That the writers from the sophisticated background, they try to delineate the tribal life. Okay, whatever the things or whatever the fields or the observes, they try to write like that. Okay, but that is not like. Okay, a real writer or is a very good observer. Okay, he observes the life, he feel that pain. Okay, Warrior Alvin is there. Okay, if you go through his book, so that man was literally living with the tribal peoples and in their kabilas. Okay, and that's why a lot of books he has written about the tribal people. Okay, about their clan, gotra, and all the things. Gana Vyavastha is there, Ganda Vyavastha is there. Okay, so yeah, if you are writing about those people, so you must know their history at least. Okay, so if the new writers are or you are enthusiastic student, they are asking about the scope of the tribal literature research and the training institute. So if you want to go there, if you want to make some research, okay, if you make this tribal literature and the creative writing one more stage advanced, okay, so you must also update your knowledge. Okay, so whatever these books I have suggested you in Hindi or in Marathi, okay, you have to read at least. Okay, they will give glimpses of the tribal life, that what happened with the tribal people in the past. Okay, what is happening with the tribal community in the tribal areas, in the tribal territories. Okay, so these are the main issues of the research and our creative writing, I think. Yes, please,
Thank,
again.
thank, thank. No, sir, thank you from Sanjay Nailekar for the valuable guidance is about some tribal research center in across India. Uh, Lastly, I thank you, Dr. Manoj Madavi, sir, is for the valuable time shared with our students, and they explore the various opportunities in the tribal literature, and they gave a one way to how to think about the tribal literature as a part of the research. Thank you, sir, for your valuable guidance and for your
Thank you.
valuable time shared with our students. We hope we will be tie up with the futures about the way explore the various aspects of the tribal, and we will share your contact details with your participant and student who want to the research in. Thank you very much, sir, on behalf
Thank
of
you.